What up? Festival of the Lost is back in D2, so in today's video we're going to go over all of the following: how the event works, earning candy and manifested pages, a huge PSA on the new shotgun, farming methods, current Festival of the Lost Memento information, and god rolls for every weapon currently in Festival of the Lost, although there's current loot problems that we'll get to a bit later. Alright, starting off with how the event works. Head to the tower and talk to Eva Levante like always. You'll pick up the classic carving quest, and Eva will also give you your first festival mask. Like always, be sure to have your mask equipped if you're doing basically anything in this event, because otherwise you won't get candy from completing activities. You'll also get manifested pages from Eva, which you can use to unlock lore from the Book of the Forgotten next to Eva at the tower. If you've played past versions of Festival of the Lost, you might remember there being different kinds of pages. Thankfully, Bungie simplified things this year and there's just the one type of page, so only worry about manifested. Quick heads up, before doing anything else, remember that there is literally free candy in 2 trees at the tower. One tree is located directly behind Eva, and the other tree is off in the bazaar area of the tower near where Ikora hangs out. If you really want to be candy optimal, you should be sure to do this on all 3 of your characters, which I know is kind of boring, but hey, free candy. I should mention that acquiring candy is important, because spending candy and eerie engrams together at Eva Levante is how you focus both Festival of the Lost weapons and also exotic class armor, meaning yes, you can farm Festival of the Lost quite easily for exotic class armor drops, which is very nice. Now you should enter the Haunted Sectors playlist and farm them like you have in years past. If you're completely new to D2 or the Festival of the Lost event in general, here is Haunted Lost Sectors in a nutshell. You have a timer and your goal is to frag out and kill as many headless ones as you can. You summon headless ones by just standing in zones that appear around the Lost Sector, and bam, they show up. After killing 10 headless ones, a boss will appear, and you now have to kill headless ones again, but they'll now drop pumpkin bombs on the floor, which you then throw at the big boss in order to lower their shields and damage them again. When the boss is dead, GG, you did it. Completing Haunted Lost Sectors can get you loot in the form of eerie engrams, Festival of the Lost weapons, candy, and manifested pages. In short, you don't really have to farm anything in the game outside of Haunted Lost Sectors if you don't want to. After completing your first Haunted Lost Sector, go back to the tower and talk to Eva. She'll instruct you on how to enter manifested pages into the Book of the Forgotten, which again is for lore purposes. You'll then accept your first completed challenge in your Festival of the Lost event card, and Eva will reward you with the new Arcane Embrace Heavy Burst Shotgun. Very important thing to note on the shotgun, by the way, the first roll Eva gives you is insanely good and wildly rare. She gives you one with dual loader and trench barrel, which, fun fact, isn't even currently in the API for D2 Foundry or Light.gg, even as the curated roll. What I'm trying to tell you is that this roll shouldn't exist on paper, and she gives it to you right away. Remember that when activated, Trench Barrel gives you a fat 50% damage buff for 5 seconds or until you fire the gun 3 times. Fun fact though, according to my buddy Cool Guy, Trench Barrel is also currently bugged on the gun and isn't consuming stacks. Translation: once activated, free 50% damage buff until the timer expires. Again, I can't stress how important that is, and I have no idea if Bungie is going to fix that at all or even take the perk off the gun to begin with, but in the meantime, enjoy. At this point in the event, you can now kinda do whatever you want. Remember that Eva Levante has bounties you can acquire which give you additional candy, XP, and even bright dust. I'd say probably the thing most folks are going to do is just dive into Haunted Lost Sectors and farm away. Keep in mind there are also expert Haunted Lost Sectors which are tougher but give a higher chance for premium loot and pages from the Book of the Forgotten. Also remember that Haunted Sectors have active modifiers, so adjust your loadouts as needed. Alright, now we move on to farming methods. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, even though ye old first contact mission farming does appear to work, it doesn't seem worth it in this case. I did a few first contact farms just to see what I'd get. While I did get tonic crafting stuff for Ido as well as candy on the repeat and the occasional manifested page, farming Haunted Lost Sectors seems way more beneficial. Again, Haunted Sectors are dummy forehead easy, pretty damn short, only a few minutes long, and give you candy, pages, and weapon drops upon completion. IMO, if you're looking to farm, skip First Contact and stick with Haunted Lost Sectors. Moving on to current Memento information. First and foremost, there is a Festival of the Lost Memento up for grabs this year, but bad news, it's the old Memento, aka the same one we had before. There is no new Memento for the event this year in 2024. If you're a veteran player and you already have this Memento unlocked, good news for you. There's no need for you to jump through any of the hoops to get it unlocked again, because you have it in your loot pool already. Apparently, just focusing weapon drops this year directly from Eva Levante has a chance for a Memento to drop, so it'll potentially be really easy for you to acquire. For newer players, or those who have never gotten the Memento before, y'all have to unlock it manually. Take a gander at your triumphs. Specifically, go to Journey, then Triumphs, then Episode Revenant, tab over to General, and find the triumph called Twilight. There are 3 steps to unlocking the Memento, and unfortunately the objectives currently are hidden. There's always a chance that it's the same 3 steps as last year, but I kinda doubt it. If we find out what the steps are for the new Memento, I'll try to make a pinned comment down below in the comment section of this video, so stay tuned. Alright, last but not least, let's quickly talk about all the weapons on the table this year for Festival of the Lost and their accompanying god rolls for both PvE and PvP. Before we get going, another important weapon PSA. Festival of the Lost loot is currently bugged. And when I say bugged, I mean that Festival of the Lost weapons are dropping with their old perk pools from 2023 rather than what they should be dropping with, which you can currently find in the API. This includes being able to acquire the Horror Story auto rifle, which technically shouldn't even be obtainable this year. It should be the Braytech Werewolf. In short, if you plan on farming Festival of the Lost weapons, I'd say to either wait until Bungie fixes the issue, and they are aware of the issue, or feel free to farm Candy and Eerie engrams and just don't focus them yet. Or, I guess, farm the weapons if you really want a 2023 festival weapon roll that won't be obtainable when Bungie fixes the issue. Either way, moving on to weapon rolls, starting with Arcane Embrace, which is not only a new weapon, but also a new weapon archetype, the first ever heavy burst shotgun. If you didn't know, it fires 2 slug rounds in rapid succession. Think of the yesterday's question hand cannon, but you waved a magic wand and now it's a shotgun. On the PvE side of things, you have a couple of very interesting roll options, but I need to repeat what I said earlier in the video. The roll that Eva Levante gives you with Trench Barrel literally does not exist in the API and is insanely good and maybe even bugged. This is probably the current best PvE roll on paper, so do not dismantle. But in the event Bungie does patch the game and take Trench Barrel off of the gun, why don't we talk about other options? I'm gonna keep things simple and boil it down to the 2 non-Trench Barrel rolls I'd be the happiest getting. Roll number 1 is 4th times the charm and Surrounded, the goal there being to get right up close and personal with a big beefy yellow bar and melting it into oblivion. Keep in mind that while Surrounded does give a hefty damage buff of 40%, you need to be near at least 3 enemies in order for that buff to even activate, so it might not be something you can take advantage of all the time. I think a slightly safer version is roll number 2, 4th times the charm and Precision Instrument. The damage buff on Precision Instrument tops out at around 25%. Not as good as Surrounded, but then again, way easier to proc because it isn't reliant on you being near 3 enemies. Just to make sure you don't miss your shots and free damage output, easy. For PvP, I genuinely don't know if I'd use the Arcane Embrace over one of the many other well-rolled slug shotties we have in the game right now. I will give it a fair shake though, Slide Shot or Threat Detector in column 3, depending on if you value more range or more handling. I'm on team handling, by the way, with closing time in column 4, since it doesn't have access to opening shot. Moving on, we have the Mechab, back at it again with a slightly new perk pool. I've always felt Mechab was created to shine in PvP, but we'll still talk about a potential PvE god roll. Triple Tap or Clown Cartridge in column 3, with Firing Line in column 4, the first time the mech has access to that perk, by the way. Even with the potential appeal of a damage buff from Firing Line, keep in mind that the Mechab is an aggressive frame sniper, which I'm a little iffy on for PvE. Other frames are usually way more appealing in general. Rapid fire frame snipers have better mags and fire way faster. In PvP, on the other hand, the Mechab is actually very nice. I don't always snipe in PvP, but when I do, the mech is one of a selected few options I keep nearby. My main choice being the incredibly not overused or boring at all Snapshot and Opening Shot combo. Take note though that Mechab also has access to both Lone Wolf and Closing Time this year, which I'm genuinely interested in trying out to see if it feels any better than the classic roll. Next up is the Jurassic Green Pulse Rifle, a weapon I sorta only have a few words for. On the PvE side of things, the rolls I'm going to recommend are not too different from what we've had before. Heal Clip in column 3 and Incandescent in column 4 is your standard go-to PvE god roll, I'd say, but if you landed a Subsistence in Incandescent, that'd also probably be just fine. For PvP, I'm one of the people who think that this Pulse Rifle really puts the ass in Jurassic Green. Yeah, not a big fan. I think other Pulse Rifles are significantly sexier in PvP, but that being said, Jurassic Green game does have access to some new PvP toys this year. All in all, I'd say take your pick between any of the following perks for PvP. Closing Time, Lone Wolf, Keep Away, or Rangefinder in Column 3, paired together with either Kill Clip, Headseeker, or Desperate Measures in Column 4. Kill Clip in particular is new to Jurassic Green this year, and if you're looking for a very easy one-and-done PvP god roll, that's probably what I'd aim for, maybe paired together with Lone Wolf, gun to my head. But again, any of the perks I mentioned would probably be fine. Moving on, we come to the Braytech Werewolf, which again, reminder, should be available in Festival of the Lost right now, but isn't at the moment due to the old loot bug being present. When Bungie gets that updated, then Braytech will be back on the menu. For PvE, Braytech has access to an awesome new toy this year, Kinetic Tremors, which I'm going to recommend highly. Paired together with Rewind Wounds in Column 3, that should be the easy head empty god roll that most PvE players have a lot of fun with. Although if your RNG is whack, you could also settle for Subsistence or Overflow in Column 3, but again, I'll be shooting for Rewind Rounds. There's also Onslaught in Column 4 if you enjoy that sort of thing for PvE, but yeah, IMO, Kinetic Tremors all day, GG. For PvP, I'm not really an auto rifle PvP kind of guy. I respect that they have done great in certain metas, but I don't always enjoy using them. That being said, I think any combination of the following perks would probably be fine. Dynamic Sway Reduction, Lone Wolf, or Zen Moment in Column 3, paired together with either Kill Clip, Target Lock, Onslaught, or Desperate Measures in Column 4. Gun to my head, I'm probably aiming for Zen Moment Kill Clip, aka the boring roll, but you do you. Last but definitely not least is the Cosmic Grenade Launcher, which got a very nice glow up this year. The condensed TLDR version is, surprise, surprise, it got everybody's favorite damage perk, Bait and Switch. I think the main god roll I'm looking for, and many others will be as well, is no contest here, Clown Cartridge in Column 3 with Bait and Switch in Column 4. Potential warning, by the way, I know that many people out there are probably going to be tempted to chase Withering Gaze in Column 3 for this grenade launcher. While that is a great perk I respect, I think that going for one on this launcher is probably going to be a mistake. In short, you need to ADS and delay your damage dealing in order to activate Withering Gaze, which is not optimal. Same thing for intentionally missing out on Clown Cartridge, not optimal. I'm not saying you shouldn't debuff the enemy, of course. You should always try to debuff the enemy, but I think you should be relying on other, more reliable methods of debuffing which don't delay your DPS output. Or at the very least, you could rock one of the 2 new snipers in the game that are able to roll Withering Gaze and then use them in your DPS rotation with this grenade launcher instead. The play there being, while you're using your other 2 weapons anyway to trigger Bait and Switch on your grenade launcher, just ADS a little bit longer with your sniper to activate Withering Gaze, then swap to your Cosmic Grenade Launcher and fire away. On the PvP side of things, I haven't used grenade launchers in PvP in a hot minute ever since health values got changed and they caught a bit of a nerf. I usually use rockets or machine guns now, but if you really care, I guess proximity nades in Column 2 with Slick Draw and Chain Reaction would be fine. There you go. If anything in today's video helped you, let me know by clicking the like button and leaving a comment down below. I'll try to keep you posted on the Memento thing. Thanks very much for watching. Peace!